Trump just hosted a huge meeting at the White House with cabinet members going through major announcements one by one. We're going to go through the most important announcements thanks to Anna Matson, who sifted through it all. And apparently they get crazier the more you go on. So let's have a look. The first announcement is that consumer prices have dropped, including energy prices, and the country is making $2 billion a day.
Everybody predicted a lot of inflation, very little inflation. Energy costs are down. Interest rates are probably down. They scatter, but they're probably down. Prescription drug prices are even to down. We're trying to get the world to treat us fairly. Should have been done 40 years ago when it wasn't. No president was willing to take it on, but you had to. It's not sustainable. Again, there'll be a transition cost and transition problems, but in the end, it's going to be a beautiful thing.
There's no arguing against the fact that if America reduces the deficit, it's going to be beneficial for everybody. $36 trillion of debt was too much. The interest on it alone was just insane. Pete Hegseth has signed deals to secure the Panama Canal and allow the US vessels to travel freely.
A framework for US vessels, first and free, through the Panama Canal. Right. A memorandum of understanding with their security minister for the presence of U.S. troops jointly with Panama to secure the Panama Canal from Chinese influence. That's something you said, we're taking back the canal. China's had too much influence. Obama and others let them creep in. We, along with Panama, are pushing them out, sir.
Finally, it just feels like the U.S. is in good hands with this administration. They're thinking very carefully about America's security. Howard Lutnick, the Secretary of Commerce, talked about negotiating tariffs and the gold card coming soon.
I have so many countries to talk to. It's incredible. And they have come with offers that they never, ever, ever would have come with. And I think you're going to see historic deals, one after the other. Within a week and a half, we're going to start with the gold card and the Trump card.
In order to have security, America does need to bring some of its manufacturing back into the country, and they need to get rid of the insane deficits, which they're going hell for leather on that one, so I'm sure we'll be seeing pretty good results. Linda McMahon, the Secretary of Education, talked about how they're addressing anti-Semitism. This is a pretty controversial topic amongst MAGA at the moment because there are some people who are very supportive of Israel, and there are other people who are very, very critical of what Israel is doing in Gaza, or some people are very focused on America first and they don't want America sending money to Israel. The other thing that some people have a problem with is they feel that the moves the Trump administration is taking on college campuses to not allow anti-Semitic speech is actually overriding people's right to free speech. The counter argument to that is people are saying, well, if you come to America on a foreign visa, you do not have the same rights as an American citizen. I'd love to hear what you guys think about this.
Having education go back to the states, we're meeting and talking with governors. I was with, this week, all 50 commissioners of education around the country, and because we also want to provide them with tools and best practices as education does move back to the states.
And what about colleges? You're holding back $400 million from Columbia, $8 billion from Harvard. Can you imagine the money we pay Harvard?
Wow, another $8.4 billion saved just like that. Mike Waltz, the National Security Advisor, then gave his input on what he's been up to.
Last year, the Chinese received 1,700 orders for new ships. American shipyards received 5. Under your leadership, like so many other industries, we are going to revitalize and make shipbuilding and maritime great again. These blue-collar jobs, these are the cranes, the ports, opportunity zones, and drive that investment back in to streamline foreign military sales for people that want to buy our equipment, and of course acquisition reform.
We have to go to Congress for this, but we may buy some ships from other countries that we're close to and that do great jobs with ships, but we're going to start the process of rebuilding. We don't really essentially build ships anymore, which is ridiculous.
I don't know the ins and outs of the military-industrial complex, but I have been wondering lately, is Trump's long-term plan to stop America going into any new wars, as we know he's very against war generally, to redirect the military-industrial complex and all of those massive businesses that make tons of money creating weaponry for war? Is he redirecting that money into stuff like this, into ship manufacturing? He said before, peace through strength. I just think it's an interesting idea to kind of compromise with those companies that make so much money with manufacturing war and they want to go to war. It's like, well, is there a way that you can make money and we just don't go to war? I don't know. Lee Zeldin of the Environmental Protection Agency gave updates on deregulating, approving power plants and cancelling grants.
The Biden EPA was strangulating the economy. The Trump EPA understands it's not a binary choice. We can protect the environment and grow the economy. Working with Doge and Elon Musk, we've now canceled $22 billion worth of grants. And we have launched what is the largest deregulatory action in the history of the country, just in one agency. That's how much of a mess the Biden EPA left us. It is going to end up reducing the cost of living. It's going to create jobs. It's going to make it easier to purchase a car. It'll be easier to heat your home. Clean air, land, and water for all Americans, unleashing energy dominance, permitting reform, advancing cooperative federalism, making America the AI capital of the world, and bringing back American auto jobs.
It's brilliant to see this stuff play out at a table. Like, there was 4 years of so little transparency. The contrast is crazy.
Because we can't rely on our grid. It's old and it's tired, and it's, very subject to being attacked, whether by rain or by bombs or by anything else. And we're letting people build their own power plants, and these are a lot of them being built. They'll have a sort of be their own power company. And it's very exciting.
I mean, AI development and power plant development is a pretty scary one for a lot of people. I'll be interested to hear what you guys think about the whole thing. So this is the Secretary of Transportation, Sean Duffy.
Thank you as well for the shipbuilding EO. Again, to build ships, we also need mariners to sail those ships. I was just up at Kings Point for the Merchant Marine Academy a couple days ago, and we have some of the greatest young men and women who are learning how to be mechanical engineers to rebuild and fix the engines on those ships, but also how to sail ships. These are the very people that help Pete should we come into points of crisis to support the military. Number two, the last administration announced 3,200 projects, big, beautiful roads and bridges. Most of them are good. But they announced them, they didn't sign a grant agreement. 3,200, so the money doesn't go out the door to build the infrastructure in the country. So we're doing the work right now at DOT to get these grant agreements done and build the projects. And they also put in all of this green and social justice requirements on roads and bridges. We're pulling all that out and putting the money toward the infrastructure.
I just absolutely love seeing this. It reminds me of being in a meeting in a workplace, having to show you're accountable to your boss. Brooke Rowlands, the Secretary of Agriculture, covered tariffs helping farmers and ranchers. Anything that helps farmers, I'm a big supporter of, because there's been a big agenda across the globe to try to hurt farmers and put them out of business.
Food security is national security. We have to be able to feed ourselves. And your idea of using tariffs along with deregulation and tax cuts, but your idea of using tariffs to ensure that we are putting forward and putting America first, no one understands that better than our farmers and our ranchers. But having said that, emerging from 4 years of Biden with a 30% increase in inputs for our farmers and ranchers, with an almost $50 billion trade deficit. When we left the first time, it was zero, meaning that they are hurting. Interestingly, the biggest budget driver at the United States Department of Agriculture is not farming and ranching or agriculture, it's food stamps. And so as we emerge and embark, Secretary Kennedy and I, on your vision of making America healthy again, a massive part of that is realigning and reworking our food stamp program so that it better serves those who need it. And yeah, to the point of getting the transgender, DEI, Green New Deal out of the USDA and realigning is really important.
Kennedy has gone in and just told all of the staff he wants them every day to be living and breathing this concept of what can I do to make American citizens healthier. I just think that's such an awesome thing to be kind of drilling into the minds of people who are working on America's health. We all know that definitely has not been the message. Then we got some words from Scott Bessent, Secretary of the Treasury.
We've got over 75 countries that want to come in, so it'll be Treasury, Commerce, Jameson at USTR, and we're putting a process in place. And as you said, you're going to be part of the negotiations too, because I've had these countries call me up and with Secretary Bessent, we're happy you're going to be negotiating. I said, well, President Trump's going to be involved too. So bring your best deal moving quickly in the House and the Senate, thanks to your leadership. We're also going to have debt ceiling in there, so we're going to get an increase in the debt ceiling. It'll be done and dusted for 2 years. We won't have to worry about that.
Some people are very critical of this. They voted for Trump because they wanted the deficit reduced. My thought on it is that for now, they really are having to deal with the cards they've been dealt. Biden really left things in pretty bad state. I think that this is kind of just unavoidable for now, but almost everything they're doing suggests that they are really, really trying to address the deficit problem, and they're very aware that it has to be addressed. So for me personally, the debt ceiling thing doesn't bother me. I'll be interested to hear if you guys have a different opinion.
I gave a speech yesterday to 1,400 small and community bankers, and they were so happy to hear from your administration. And I told them Wall Street's done great for the past 4 years, 10 years, 20 years. It can continue doing great, but it's Main Street's turn now. And it's those small bankers through deregulation, through emphasis on Main Street, your Main Street agenda, bringing back jobs, that is going to power the smaller communities. And then finally, the bond auction went very well yesterday. We had a lot of foreigners show up as the support, showing that the U.S. is still the best place to invest. And energy prices are down more than 20% since January 20th.
Regular, everyday Americans are the center of attention right now. Next up was Attorney General Pam Bondi.
Americans want you to be president because of your agenda, and the courts are ruling that you have the authority to determine how the money of this country will be spent. An example of that Friday was the Department of Education, that you can determine how the money will be spent. No more DEI, and that impacts every agency across the board. NLRB, we had a big win in the Supreme Court there. OPM, a big win there.
I'm just loving every time these biased judges try to stand in the middle of Trump and his agenda and you know, completely overstep the line, and then it goes up to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court just bats it away.
Yesterday in South Florida, we charged 11 defendants with $500 million of pure cocaine coming into our country to kill our kids. They were caught. They will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. You also gave us a directive to prosecute the people who are going after Tesla to the fullest extent of the law. Some of the greatest police work I've seen. We've made 4 arrests. There will be no negotiations at your directive. They're all looking at 20 years in prison, and within the next 24 hours, you're going to be seeing another huge arrest on a Tesla dealership, President.
It's the only way to address the crazy, crazy stuff that people think they can get away with doing. Pam Bondi is another one who's been facing some controversy recently because she has yet to release the Epstein files. I think she's been given an awful lot of things to get done, a lot of directives by Trump. In my opinion, it's such a big thing that they probably need to really get all of their eggs in order. Is that the term? I don't know. I can't remember. But they really need to get all of their stuff in line, and then they would want to start initiating arrests, because as much as people just want the files released, what good will that do? What we really want is to see people go down for this stuff. We want to see justice. My hope is that behind closed doors, they're working away on that all the time and getting all of their eggs in a row, maybe that's the saying, in order to start actually making arrests at some point. So I am going to hold out hope, and I'm going to hold out hope until the end of Trump's term. Maybe there is a game plan. Maybe there's a strategy. It's a pretty big thing what they're tackling when it comes to the Epstein files. If the files aren't released by the end of this term, I will be very, very disappointed. Then the Secretary of Labour, Lori Chavez de Ramir, she actually made some very interesting announcements.
Just a few weeks ago, we realized there's about $4.4 billion in COVID funds that were not used, that the state coffers were just holding on to. Out of that, we've returned $1.4 billion back to the state treasury, so essentially to the American people, and we'll go back and claw the rest of those billions of dollars back. We're understanding unemployment insurance fraud. That trust needs to be whole for the American people. When we need it for who deserves it. That's not what we're seeing in the numbers that we saw last night, again, exposed by our partners at DOJ at the Department of Labor. Since 2020, over $400 million of payments have gone out already. And when you hear these numbers, apparently in the United States, we have over almost 25,000 people who are over 115 years old, who are collecting $59 million that we have sent out to people. 28,000 people between 1 and 5 years old have collected fraudulent payments at the tune of $254 million. 10,000 people who have not been born yet, 15 years into the future, $69 million, and they haven't even been born yet. In one case, they will be born 129 years from now. The United States government sent them $41,000.
It makes me sick to think about it. People don't have a choice. They have to pay taxes. So the government should be ensuring that those dollars go to good use. I want this to happen to all of Europe, to the UK. I want to see this happening across the globe. I want negligence and fraud to be made transparent to the whole world. And I want governments to be forced to be transparent for their citizens across the globe. The US is leading the way here.
Jobs numbers. Last Friday, 228,000 new jobs were reported. So we've kicked off the America at Work tour, and we'll be visiting all 50 states. We're going to grow this economy. We're going to keep our focus on the American worker.
These are all people with a serious point to prove. They're up against it, right? Like the media is against them. You've got a ton of people who want them to fail. And so they seriously do have a point to prove. Kristi Noem, the Secretary of Homeland Security, has been doing some really good work.
For the second month in a row, you have broken the record in the history of the nation for the lowest number of encounters at the border. You have said that America's laws matter and that they'll be enforced. The Alien Registration Act has been in place long enough now that those individuals that are here illegally, if they haven't registered, they can be charged criminally and they can face fines up to $1,000 a day and face deportation if they don't go home, and they'll never get the chance to come back to America. We're encouraging people to use the CBP Home app to register, and we're working on the resources and funding to buy them a plane ticket to send them home. I went to El Salvador, Colombia, and Mexico, and those countries and others are thinking about setting up programs to support these individuals when they get back to their country. So when they get there, they'll have housing and food assistance. And so making sure that these folks have the opportunity to go home so that they can get the chance to come back to America is important.
I hope that they do take care of the people who choose to sign up to the app. Trump is known for sticking to his word. There's plenty of people who vouch for that, including RFK Jr. So if it starts to become clear that they genuinely do give people the opportunity to apply to come back legally, if they are willing to contribute to society and in a meaningful way, then more people will probably be willing to self-deport.
Thousands of people have already self-deported. Well, we're just going to, we got 21 million people that need to go home because they're here breaking our laws, and then we need to facilitate that. I think American people need to know that Real ID will be required to travel on May 7th. So those governors have been notified to communicate that at home. And this will also help us bring integrity back to all of our IDs and how they're used for issuing driver's licenses. And governors know how I feel about making sure their driver's licensing system has integrity, because a lot of people use their driver's license to vote.
And we're going to work with people so that if they go out in a nice way, go back to their country, we're going to work with them right from the beginning on trying to get them back in legally. Is that right? So it gives you a real incentive. Otherwise, they never come back. They'll never be allowed once a certain period of time goes by, which is probably going to be 60 days. We're also going to work with farmers that if they have strong recommendations for their farms for certain people, we're going to let them stay in for a while and work with the farmers and then come back and go through a legal process. But we have to take care of our farmers and hotels and various places where they need the people. The farmer will come in with a letter concerning certain people saying they're great, they're working hard. We're going to slow it down a little bit for them, and then we're going to ultimately bring them back. They'll go out, they're going to come back as legal workers.
Brilliant. It's common sense. Then Elon Musk chimed in on savings and the gold card as well.
Excited to announce that we anticipate savings in FY26 from reduction of waste and fraud by $150 billion. Excellent collaboration with Cabinet to achieve these savings. And it will actually result in better services for the American people, and that we're going to be spending their tax dollars in a way that is sensible and fair and good.
As much as the Democrats like to shout, like Doge is just doing the absolute worst terrors upon these agencies, the reality is that the more that they uproot fraud, abuse, waste, the more that they fix these systems and even the efficiency of how they run. Anyone using those systems in future who is not abusing those systems will benefit and will see the better for it.
And your people are fantastic. In fact, hopefully they'll stay around for the long haul.
We're working hard to get the Trump gold card operational, hopefully in the next week or so.
Next up, Tulsi Gabbard talking about going after the cartels and the latest update on evidence that they found about voter fraud.
Working with Department of Homeland Security and the FBI to increase our information sharing to achieve your goal of countering the narcotic trafficking and our ability to go after cartels now designated as foreign terrorists. We have all of the federal agencies, state and local law enforcement all on the same page. Sir, as you know, declassification and rooting out weaponization and politicization of the intelligence community is a huge priority. You know more than anyone else the very dangerous and negative consequences of that. I've got a long list of things that we're investigating. We have the best of the best going after this, election integrity being one of them. We have evidence of how these electronic voting systems have been vulnerable to hackers for a very long time and vulnerable to exploitation to manipulate the results of the votes being cast, which further drives forward your mandate to bring about paper ballots across the country so that voters can have faith in the integrity of our elections.
It's going to be one of the best things that could happen for America is ensuring that the election process is free from fraud. Everyone deserves that and nobody can argue against it.
I've had over 100 people working around the clock to scan the paper around RFK, Senator Robert F. Kennedy's assassination, as well as Martin Luther King Jr.'s assassination. These have been sitting in boxes in storage for decades. They have never been scanned or seen before. We'll have those ready to release here within the next few days.
Very exciting. It's going to be interesting to start putting all of the puzzle pieces together.
Bobby, how do you feel about that?
I'm very gratified.
That's hitting close to home.
Yeah,
when you think, I'm thinking about Bobby when that statement's made.
I'm very grateful to you, Mr. President.
And you'll let Bobby see some of this because, it's very personal stuff. But it's time.
I've asked him, and his response is, put it out. The world needs to know the truth.
And his uncle that's been out, and anything that hasn't been out, they can go to your offices and see, right?
Everything that we have within our possession, it's either online or it's physically at the National Archives and Records Agency. We also have hunters going out, Mr. President, and looking in the storage lockers at FBI and CIA and other agencies, specifically to find if there is anything else that has not been reported. We're actively going out and trying to search out the truth.
Yeah, we want to get it all out.
Yes.
100% good. Thank you very much. Good job, guys.
Interesting. It's hard to read RFK Jr. on that one, isn't it? It really is just amazing, all of the stuff that they're doing. Next up is the Small Business Administration Administrator, Kelly Loeffler.
On behalf of America's manufacturers, I want to thank you for standing up to the Chinese Communist Party and fighting for our main streets, for our workers, and for those that make things in America. I'm out on a Made in America manufacturing tour, and as I go across the country, people are grateful to have a president who's not just fighting on the tariffs fronts, but to get inflation down, to create jobs. After Biden destroyed 110,000 manufacturing jobs in just his last year, you've already brought back thousands and thousands of manufacturing jobs. So the American worker is grateful. Main Street is grateful for you. And at the agency level, we're making sure that manufacturers have access to the capital they need, but we can't do that if we're not fighting fraud. So we've modified our loan applications to have citizenship verification, to make sure we have birth dates, common sense principles around lending that the Biden administration had waived. They waived $450 million of fees in 1 year. We're restoring that for the American taxpayer. And the American taxpayer, as tax day approaches, April 15th, they need to know that this cabinet, this administration, and thank you Elon Musk and Doge for fighting for the American taxpayer to make sure that their hard-earned dollars are well spent. We're fighting for them just as you are every single day.
Next up was RFK Jr., Secretary of Health and Human Services. He announced that he's working with EPA to reassess fluoride use because fluoride has been linked with actually lowering people's IQ. Working with USDA and governors to get soda off SNAP to try to encourage health in Americans. Operation Stork Speed to get chemicals out of baby formula. Why are there chemicals in baby formula? Anyway, working with states to get good food in school lunch and remove food dye. That would be amazing. Reduction in animal testing and switching to AI. Working with Elon to streamline the agency. CDC has done a great job controlling the measles outbreak. Trying to refocus the press to get them to pay attention to chronic disease. That won't be an easy one. Autism rates have increased again. And by September, we will know the reason why autism rates have increased. Wow.
We're working with governors across the country to get good food into the school lunch programs and to get rid of food chemical dyes and other bad chemicals that are in our food. We've shown now that this directly affects academic performance, violence in the schools, and mental health, as well as physical health. A dramatic reduction in animal testing at NIH and FDA. We're going to switch over to AI, which we've now found is much more precise in identifying the impacts of toxics. We're working with Elon, who's done an incredible job to eliminate the redundancies and to streamline operations at all the health agencies. We've had 3 measles deaths in this country over 20 years. And we're trying to refocus the press to get them to pay attention to the chronic disease epidemic as you've asked us to. We have now 38% of American youth are pre-diabetic. This was unknown 30 years ago. Every child that becomes diabetic, there should be a headline. The autism rates have gone from now most recent numbers we think are going to be about 1 in 31. So they're going up again from 1 in 10,000 when I was a kid. We've launched a massive testing and research effort that's going to involve hundreds of scientists from around the world. By September, we will know what has caused the autism epidemic, and we'll be able to eliminate those exposures.
So there's got to be something artificial out there that's doing this. So you think you're going to have a pretty good idea, huh?
We will know by September.
There will be no bigger news conference than that.
He's the type of person that I get the impression he's just working away quietly, gets a lot done. Like, he doesn't say much about it, but it's just all getting done. He's another one who's faced controversy because people, I think, are wanting him to remove vaccine recommendations and do a lot of this stuff that I think really takes time. He's always said what he wants to do is bring good science into the processes where really they've been put to the side in favor of profit, and that will take time. He's probably going to be in the background organizing tests of all the different vaccines, and once he's done thorough, proper scientific tests, he'll be able to come out and say the science shows this. I would say give it a few months and he will suddenly start coming out with the science has shown this vaccine has this issue. The Secretary of the Interior, Doug Burgum, he's opening up land and offshore leases to unleash American energy. The first lease was sold in the Gulf of America. Marco Rubio, the Secretary of State, was the last one talking about peace talks with Iran.
For 31 years, more than 31 years now, multiple administrations have allowed the Chinese to deindustrialize this country, to take away jobs and factories and pillars of our national strength. And what you're doing now, I think, is a great service to our country, but ultimately to the world. And I want to congratulate you and your team that's working on that, because it has extraordinary geopolitical implications, as you see from all these other countries that are now coming here and wanting to join something that actually, it's crazy. The Chinese companies can do whatever they want in America, but our companies cannot do anything over there unless they allow it, and even then they steal our stuff and reverse engineer it. So just reordering all of that has dramatic implications on peace and security of the world, so we thank you. An important meeting, thanks to you, is going to happen on Saturday for the first time in a long time. There'll be direct talks between Ambassador Witkoff and a top-level leader in Iran. We hope that'll lead to peace. You've been very clear what Iran is never going to have is a nuclear weapon. Historic cooperation from countries all over the world, number one, in taking back their citizens. Every country in the world has to take back people that are illegally in another country. All of them are doing it. The ones that are not are paying a price. And we've also found cooperation in other countries that are willing to take some of these people, some very dangerous criminals. I know the president of El Salvador will be here next week, has really been a good friend of the United States in that regard. These are some of the worst people you'll ever encounter. And one last point I want to make, Mr. President, if you come to this country as a student, we expect you to go to class and study and get a degree. If you come here to vandalize a library, take over a campus and do all kinds of crazy things, we're going to get rid of these people. No one's entitled to a student visa. The press covers student visas like there's some sort of birthright. No, a student visa is like me inviting you into my home. If you come into my home and put all kinds of crap on my couch, I'm going to kick you out of my house.
All very interesting and very positive. I think there's a lot of good stuff going on there, and the media would never let you know. So I just wanted to go through these clips and make this video to make sure that anybody who is interested gets to see it. I'm really looking forward to hearing what you guys think about this. Thank you so much again for watching. I'll see you guys next time.